Hey guys, how's it going? Preparing here. So I know a lot of you guys have been playing Path of Exile and reaching, the later stages of the game when you're doing maps and stuff. And I kind of want to show you guys today what I've been doing with my maps because in the past I've had a lot of bad luck with maps. I've run out several times, and I've kind of slightly changed my strategy over the course of playing the game, and I kind of want to show you guys where I am, what point I'm at, and how I manage my maps because it seems like whatever I'm doing is working. I've been consistently growing my map pool quite significantly every day for about a week now, and I can show you guys the concept behind what I'm doing. So in this game, when it comes to finding maps, you can find like a 66 grotto map, just playing the game, farming, City of Sarn if you want. When you do the grotto map, you can get a map drop. Now when this map drops, it's not going to be any lower than 66. So as long as you average one map per this map, then you'll keep going. And the idea behind it is when you have like a white map, you're probably going to get about one map from it, but RNG is going to dictate that. You see, the way it works is you may have quantity on your gear, and you may have quantity through other means, through other players, other things. But the only way you can actually get more map drops, as opposed to quantity, because they are somewhat separate, is getting quantity on the map itself. Now, for instance, this blue map here, it has increased monster variety, which doesn't really spawn any more mobs, and 21% item quantity from the fact that I made it blue and it's a little bit more challenging. And in other cases, though I'm not sure I have any here, it would spawn more monsters. So 29% more magic monsters. Magic monsters drop more loot, so more magic monsters means more overall chances at loot, and you get 18% more loot, more map drops per mob. So that's the basic stuff, but it's important to know that because it'll kind of lead to what I'm talking about. So back to the 66 map that I had in question. Okay, this 66 map, when I kill a normal mob, it can only drop another 66 map. When I kill a magic mob, it can drop a 67. When I kill a rare mob, it can drop a 68. But because I can't actually go down in maps, you don't have to invest much currency into sustaining 66 maps. So for instance, if I do a 68 map, when I get a map drop off of a white mob, the map can be 66, 67, or 68. So this is leveraged in a way that I'm not too sure, but let me tell you that I've done level 76 maps and gotten 66 maps out of it. So it's definitely pretty crazy. And in the end, the way it works is you have to get such an overwhelmingly high amount of maps within the map that you're doing based on its level to counteract the fact that you can much more likely go down in maps than up in maps. So what does that mean? Well, it means that when you have a shitty map, you can just do whatever. When you have a higher level map, you kind of want to invest a little bit more. Slightly higher, a little bit more, and so on. So that's really the basis of the strategy. And the second part is choosing the right mods that will lead to the most loot, the most maps. So when it comes to 66 maps, I just kind of did whatever. When it comes to 67, depending on the map, some maps are better than others. I think Cemetery is an amazing map. And what I realized is some maps are really awful. For instance, Mountain Ledge is really fun because it's really short, but it never really has that many mobs. But for instance, a Cemetery will have way more mobs than any other 67 map in my experience. And the area is huge, so if I had a Mountain Ledge and a Cemetery, and I had a set number of currencies to invest in rolling the map to as good as it could be, I would invest more into the Cemetery. I would care more about the Cemetery having really good mods, like area size and pack size, or like area size and a high quantity suffix like half regen, or something like a high quantity prefix and pack size. So something like that, that's the idea. The idea is to go through the game, figure out which maps you think are like good. There's too many to go offhand here, but just an example, Cemetery. I know that Cemetery is the best 67, so I'm going to dump in a lot of alterations to try to make this map as good as it could possibly be if it was my highest level map. So using that idea, what I do is with 67s, I still make them blue, but I use a lot of alterations. Alterations do have value. 8 alterations, about 1 alchemy, so something relevant to keep in mind. With 68s, I have somewhat of a big leveraging process. For instance, Mud Geyser is always going to be pretty crappy. Springs is usually pretty crappy. It's fairly large, but the density in the middle is like 0, so the actual size of the map that can have mobs in it is fairly small. Do not think Spring is a very good map, but I think Spider Lair with Maze is an insane map. So when I get a Spider Lair with Maze, I try to get an okay suffix. For instance, Elemental Equilibrium is actually a pretty crappy suffix. I'm not going to do anything with that one. I'm just going to do that as is. It's Maze, good enough. But with this one, more rare monsters and Maze, I'm going to try to find a Regal Orb, which adds a stat and makes the map rare. I don't have a Regal Orb to show you guys, but I'm sure you guys know what those are. And in this way, I'm leveraging the better 68 maps. I'm investing more currency in those. And, I've done Spider Lairs where I've gotten like 6-7 maps, and, some of the other maps, you have to get really lucky to get that many things. Now, when it comes to the higher level maps, the 69s, I usually just make them rare. Again, it depends greatly on the map. For instance, a shore map is typically very small. The mob density is fairly good, but nothing too extraordinary. So when it comes to shore maps, I just, if it's like over 50 quantity and it has a little bit of extra mobs, or if it's over like 60 quantity, I just keep it. It's good enough. When it comes to other maps, let me see if I have any here. Overgrown Shrine. Overgrown Shrine is one of those maps that are totally crazy with Maze. So, I will use several chaos to try to get a Maze or try to get a high quantity roll. And in this case, I got both. So this is an extremely good map. When it comes to level 70 maps, I only have a few rolled here. I do use chisels on them. Chisels increase the quality of a map by 5%, thus increasing the loot by 5% up to a maximum of 20% base. So the map mods contribute 84% quantity to this map, and the chisels contribute the other 20. So with this idea, you can kind of understand where I'm coming from. The higher level the map, the more currency you have to invest to get, the stuff back out of it. This can get extremely expensive, but it is how you level in this game. That's why the economy, at least on hardcore, will be, somewhat sustainable for a very long time. So with a map like Bog, I'm not too particular. Bog is a really good map, but seeing as it's only level 70, I'm not going to go too crazy. This roll is very good. 20 pack size, 100 quantity, pretty fair. Graveyard is a pretty good map. It's really good with larger area, so even though this isn't like the best roll, I feel it's good enough. This is an incredible pier, but it's going to take a fair amount of time. So that's the kind of thing. I just roll them a few times until I get a pretty nice one. When it comes to 71 maps, I'm a little bit more choosy. The ace in the hole, the best 71 map is the temple map. If you maze a temple, it's insane, but the boss is Piety. So sometimes you have to keep that into consideration. When you have like a minus 25 player resistance and the boss is Piety, as good as the map is, you have to come to the decision of, it's like, do I do the boss on a re-rolled map, or do I just do this map and not bother doing the boss? There's a lot of decision making that comes to play. And with the much higher level maps, you really have to invest a lot of currency if you want to continue in them. So this is a pretty crazy gorge map. Larger area, more rare mobs, double boss. So this is crazy hard as well, but hey, you gotta do it. Pretty good map here. It doesn't have maze, it doesn't have like an extraordinarily high quantity, but this is also Vol in the maze map. So Vol Oversoul tends to kick your ass if you have too many bad mods, and this doesn't have any bad mods, so that's pretty good stuff. Similarly with this, the Frenzy mod is pretty crazy for a boss, but I think we can do that one. And Underground River, I'm still thinking about re-rolling this one. This is not really that good, not really worthy of a 74 map. That's kind of the idea. On the extreme end, when you get to 77 and 76 maps, You're pretty much starting from a blue map, as I did with the labyrinthine spider there. You get a good suffix like that one, and then you regal it. You get a good regal, then you exalt the map. You know, that's a pretty insane concept that most people are not aware of, but that is what goes on in the highest level maps. To maintain that level of maps, like the 75, 76, you have to invest a crazy amount of currency in the maps just to be able to continue doing them, or at least to continue at a certain level range. You know, there's RNG that pushes you up, pushes you down, but your overall strategy, your mindset going into this is really going to determine largely the kind of level maps that you're going to be doing on your character. So I hope you guys learned a few things about what people tend to do in these map re-rolling situations, because it can be a very pricey endeavor if you don't know what you're doing. So hope you guys learned a few things, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.